It's an actual physical war being fought on our land in the Americas right now that 99% of us is totally unaware of. All these forest fires, that's not no accident.
Go ahead.
They got deep state private militaries, private bases on private land all across North America, Canada, and even some in Central and South America. So they've been using what they call low casualty weapons, basically strategic strikes with lasers. All this is part of the Star Wars. If you go back to Ronald Reagan in the Star Wars program, you can study they laser beams been running. They've been using lasers from satellites. Now, the irony of that is, according to flat earthers, we don't have no satellites up there.
Go ahead.
According to flat earthers, we in a closed dome. And according to flat earthers, they can't put satellites outside the dome. The irony of that is, if you're a flat earther, you got to explain where's these energy weapons, because no planes is visible. Where they coming from?
Right.
You don't see no airplanes shooting the energy weapons. So where is they coming from? That's just some food for thought. But it is World War IV right now. Whether we know it or whether we don't know it, the war getting fought.
Go ahead.
What we trying to do is let the people know that it's a whole lot of stuff going on in our face, behind our back. Everything we can't see.
Okay.
It's a lot of political maneuverings going on. A lot of misinformation, disinformation. That's part of the media influential program.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But where we're trying to get to is a critical mass of awareness in the masses of the people about their self-identity. Mm-hmm. Because people gonna have to start tracing back to the oldest living matriarch in their family. They're gonna have to start tracing back their heritage to where they from on the land in order to tie back into the tribes. So whatever going on, sooner or later, we gonna be with no power for anywhere from 30 minutes to 90 days. I don't know how long it's gonna last, but I'm gonna tell you this. In the event that they shut everything down, if we don't know how to purify water, we in trouble. If you can't walk down to the lake, grab a bucket of water and know how to make it potable to eat, cook, and drink, you got a problem. These are things we need to look at.
That's right.
If you don't know somebody with a farm, what you gonna do when the grocery store is closed down? What you gonna do? Right? Because the grocery stores ain't gonna be able to run when the money ain't no good. That's the BRICS nations killing the American dollar in our face in real time. We watching it, but we don't think that it's gonna affect us until it affects us. So whatever going on with Trump, it's gonna be a wake-up call in the end.
Man, you speaking some heavy duty shit right now. On far as like getting ready. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, proper preparation prevents poor performance is what my literature tells me. So to be properly prepared, like I can live off the fat of the land. I know how to. I go hunt me some pigeons. I don't give a shit. I go hunt some pigeons. I go fishing. I can feed me.
Right. Go ahead.
Right. And I got enough know-how. I know how to farm.
Right.
I've been doing gardens with my mama since I can remember. My mom used to tell me when we were doing the garden, and I thought she didn't know what she was talking about at the time. But she said, baby, there's gonna come a time where if you don't know how to grow no food, you're not gonna be able to eat. That's why I'm teaching you how to garden. That's why I got you out here while the other kids is playing, but you helping me in the garden. And you know me, I don't care, mama. Where do you want me to put these collard greens at? Right over here, baby. Put them right here next to these other collard greens in a straight line.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm in the garden with my mama learning how to grow food. My siblings, some of them came out sometimes. I was out there all the time. See, in our culture, one of the men in the family had to learn how to grow food, catch food, whatever it is. I went hunting with my father when I was a little boy because he said that he needed his sons to know what it was like to go out and have to shoot a rabbit. So we took a couple hound dogs from one of my father's friends' neighbor, went out there, went rabbit hunting. The snow was up to my knee. I'm a baby, 5, 6 years old. But you know what? I had the time out of my life learning how to hunt with pops.
Go ahead. That's right.
Right. These is cultural teachings that we used to teach the boys years ago.
Man, we don't even go hunting no more.
Look, they took hunting because it required you to have a firearm.
And a license.
Nobody in none of the tribes was allowed to own a firearm. If you got caught with one, their rule was to shoot your ass first and ask questions later.
Dang.
Because you was assumed to be a domestic terrorist.
Go ahead.
Because you was belligerent to the system that said motherfuckers look like us don't carry firearms. That was a rule. Matter of fact, if you want to check it out, pull up the recent Supreme Court ruling on the right to bear arms, and they just reversed it about 2 weeks ago.
Damn.
So we wasn't even, all this time we thinking we party to the Constitution, we was excluded as 3/5 other.
Damn.
It's right in there. We was taxed 3/5. Right? Where did that come from? Due to POWs. If you were a POW, you couldn't afford to be fully taxed. So all of the ones that's 3/5 compromised, Dred Scott, sleeper agents, they don't even know they working, who they working for, but they know they working for somebody.
Right.
But they don't know who it is because you ain't gonna never see Mr. Charlie face. Who is Mr. Charlie? You remember the last receipt drop I gave you a little earlier today, right before we got started?
Yeah, I got them all.
I'm about to show you who Mr. Charlie is. His name was Charles V, or Carlos Cinco.
Can you see my screen?
Mm-hmm. So we all heard that term in the hood, in the country. We was worried about Mr. Charlie, Mr. Shackelford. Who is these people? Shackelford is an actual last name. Where they come from?
You see it?
Mm-hmm. Okay, you see what he looked like, right?
Yeah. Mulatto.
All right. Remember what he looked like for the next picture. Okay. Read what it say. It say Charles V was Holy Roman Emperor and Archduke of Austria from 1519 to 1556. King of Spain King of what? Spain from 1516 to 1556. And Lord of the Netherlands as titular Duke of Burgundy. Burgundy is Red House. That's a Moulin Rouge.
Okay.
Right? That's the Red House, Burgundy. From 1506 to 1555. Okay. Now go over 2 pictures to your right. It's going to be a picture of a native. Wait a minute. Go back one. Go back one. Okay. It's another picture like that, but it's just 2 people on it.
Okay.
Matter of fact, see that picture right there?
Yeah, right here.
Zoom in on that picture. Okay, now look for the cross. Go down into the body of it. See the man with the cross on the right? You just passed him. All the way to the right on that line. Right there.
Okay. Right here. This dude right here, I'm gonna blow it up. Right here.
Remember, we said they look like us, but they ain't us. And here he's called Carlos Quintos.
Yeah.
All right. Now remember, we showed you the George Washington Fez Memorial of the Dirty Moors. Now you're looking at the agreements being made with the chiefs to go into a conflict with the cross. It's right here. If you look at the staffs, you got 3 of them on their right shoulder. What I tell you, Noble Drew Ali say they came in high.
The left bump, past the bump.
Hostile on the left bump. Now the first 3 in this row to the okay, it's 5 people to the right of King Charles. Notice what King Charles is doing with his hand.
He pointing to something.
His left hand is pointing to the cross.
That's right.
Right now, the first chief is facing me. Right.
Yeah.
And he's pointing his staff directly at his face, not at the cross.
Right.
He's saying it's a headshot.
Go ahead.
He's pointing to his head. Now, if you look, do he look pink?
No.
Is that a pale face man right there?
No. No.
Now go back to the last picture when we just read who he was. What that face look like?
Pale face.
All of them. But then we go into the blood magic. This is a part where Crispus Attucks' blood is the written constitution in the George Washington Masonic Memorial. That's where they used to keep it. But they also have a replica that they use when they travel. Take it around and show it to other lodges.
Okay.
It's called a facsimile, right? Okay. And through this blood magic is what kept us in the stupor about our history, because they put a damper on the tongue where the only way we could get it out is in a song.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So before we were singing in the mainstream, we were singing in the fields, telling the stories. And this is why, you know, our people always say that we told stories in our gospel songs. Mm-hmm. They think we talking church talk, but we knew something different.
Go ahead. Right?
So blood magic is a form of magic that uses blood as a source of power. Right? Now, if you go to that blue and red picture, those are the biblical scriptures tied to the blood magic. That was a picture of the Constitution you just passed. Right? That's what it looked like, written in the blood. Right? Because it turns rusty brown when it dries out.
Yeah, then they kill a guy and the right is in his blood.
Crispus Attucks. Go to the next slide. See his right here?
Yeah.
It says not much is known about Attucks, but most historians agree he was of mixed blood of African and Native American descent. In other words, he was one of us.
Yeah. And go ahead.
Okay, now this is the biblical verse, Matthew 26:28. What do this say? For this is my blood of the covenant. But covenant mean contract. That's People right. Get out of this whole covenant mean contract. The contract is the Constitution, this which is being poured out for many for forgiveness of sins. The sin is the sin rights, which is the Babylonian blood magic, Babylonian money magic, Babylonian sex magic. Forgive means to give favor to.
Go ahead.
Those acts by the blood covenant. This all in a biblical contract. Go to the next slide.
Go ahead. Yeah, Rod.
This is math. These is the blood contract biblical links. Because we're going to go to Google in a minute and I'm how you pull up a picture of Pelosi and Trump. But Matthew 23:35. right? That's 68. That's my birth year. And so upon you will come all the righteous blood shed on earth. Shall I say that again, Elder?
Go ahead.
And so up on you will come all the righteous blood shed on earth, from the blood of the righteous Abel, which means worker, to the blood of Zechariah, son of Brachian, who you murdered between the temple and the altar. That is the homicide that we know as Crispus Attucks getting shot. Right there. Right? These is all they call. I'm just telling you what they saying. And then I'm showing you where I'm getting it from. Okay, now, lamentations, what do that mean? Lamentation is a cry, it's a plea. Right? So this is somebody who's crying about something. Right? It say, but this was for the sins of her prophets and the guilt of her priests, who shed the blood of the righteous in her midst. And what do they call America gender-wise?
Her, the woman, the Babylon, the whore, the great whore.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
So when they talking about who shed the blood of the righteous in the midst of her, that mean that some sisters seen what was going on.
Go ahead. You on something, Roy? Go ahead.
Right. So when you understand how the blood magic worked, then you understand why they wrote the Constitution in Crispus Attucks' blood, so nobody won't be able to contest it. Now, if you go back to, I sent you a clip, Article 77 of the Iroquois Constitution. That was toward the last receipts I sent you.
Okay, all right.
Oh, stop. That was important. This was the first one to identify the source of the attack on our psyche, Carter G. Woodson. Right? He famous for a lot of things, but telling us the mechanism by which they controlling us ain't one of them until today.
Go ahead.
Carter G. Woodson wrote in The Miseducation of the Negro. That's where you find this paragraph at that he's writing in the book called The Miseducation of the Negro. This is to unlock your mind. He say, when you control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his actions. You do not have to tell him not to stand here or go yonder. He will find his proper place and will stay in it.
Wow.
You do not need to send him to the back door. He will go without being told. In fact, if there is no back door, he will cut one for his civic benefit. His education makes it necessary.
Wow.
This how voodoo works. This is the real voodoo. See, when you balance out the earth nature of the individual, the earth will guide you to where to find all of these little pieces and show people what you're talking about. Right? Let's go on to the one we was on our way to.
Yeah, you killing the game, bro. You saying a lot.